Stay tuned for Good Morning America, coming up next on KATU, Channel 2.
Here I am with another Jenny Craig success story. This is Conchita Owens, lost 22 pounds in 4 months with Jenny Craig. How would you summarize Jenny's cuisine?
Very good meals.
Have any favorites?
Bill Clinton savors the sweet taste of victory after a resounding defeat of President George Bush. Well, Good Morning America. I'm Charles Gibson. Get used to saying it now. You can let the words roll off your lips because we'll say it a lot. President Bill Clinton.
That's right. Good morning. I'm Joan London. It is Wednesday. It's November 4th, the day after. And voters did show up in record numbers yesterday, cities all across the country, and their voices came through loud and clear. For the first time in 12 years, they elected a Democrat to the White House. And this morning, reaction from the Clinton inner circle, also from Vice President Dan Quayle, who was gracious enough to agree to appear with us this morning, win or lose.
Have a chance to talk to him in a few moments. 4 new women in the Senate, 1 from Illinois, 2 from California, 1 from the state of Washington. We'll be talking to them this morning. Carol Mosley Braun of Illinois made history, the first black woman to be elected to the United States Senate. She's going to be with us. And if you're wondering about Ross Perot's plans for the future, we'll be talking to his son, Ross Perot Jr. But let's get right to the results. Mike Schneider has more on the election news. Mike?
Thank you, Charlie. Good morning, everybody. Many of you probably went to bed before the late returns came in, and they came in at a rather late hour considering the number of undecided states. But the electoral picture is rather clear this morning. The Electoral College wound up being a runaway for Bill Clinton. He beat Bush there by roughly a 2-to-1 margin. Ross Perot was not even in sight. One look at the map now shows the extent of Clinton's win. He swept the northeastern part of the United States, he swept through the Midwest, and he also swept the Pacific coast. That set off the biggest party the city of Little Rock, Arkansas has ever seen. Here's ABC's Mike Von Fremd.
Even while he was savoring his hard-fought victory, President-elect Bill Clinton was promising the supporters he had appealed to during his 13-month run for the White House that they will not be forgotten.
You can trust us to wake up every day remembering the people we saw in the bus trips, the people we saw in the town meetings. All of them together are saying, we want our future back, and I intend to help give it to you.
Mindful that keeping his promises will not be easy, he asked supporters to be willing to do more for their country, using a phrase reminiscent of John Kennedy's.
But I ask you to be Americans again, too. To be interested not just in getting, but in giving, not just in placing blame, but now in assuming responsibility.
And after a campaign in which he belittled many of President Bush's accomplishments, last night Bill Clinton had high praise for his opponent.
To helping to bring about an end to the Cold War, to our victory in the Gulf War, to the grace with which he conceded the results of this election tonight in the finest American tradition. Let's give Mr. Bush and his family a hand.
I wish him well in the White House, and I want the country to know that our entire administration will work closely with his team to ensure the smooth transition of power.
If he runs the country as well as he ran his campaign, we'll be all right.
While Dan Quayle seemed to enjoy the chant of 1996 from his supporters, President Bush made it known that he's going to enjoy some of the pleasures of life away from the White House.
As for me, I plan to get, I'm going to serve and try to find ways to help people, but I plan to get very active in the grandchild business.
Is this the end, or is this just the beginning?
Ross Perot sounded like a man who has no intention of stepping away from the political process. But he urged his volunteers to work with the new administration.
The only way we're going to make it work if all team up together. So let's give Governor Clinton a big round of applause. He's won. Great.
And now that he has won, the focus is on the transition effort. The General Services Administration already has offices in Washington all set up for the Clinton team to move in. There are thousands of political appointments to fill, and Mike, there's no shortage of resumes.
At the end of the campaign and just the beginning for the Clinton people. ABC's Mike Von Fremd in Little Rock, Arkansas. Going to check in right now with ABC's Ann Compton, who's been covering the president. She's in Houston, Texas this morning. And ABC's Linda Patillo, who's been covering the Perot campaign. She is in Dallas. First of all, to you, Ann, thoughts on this day after for the Bush campaign?
Well, of course, it's the end of a political career. George Bush made it very clear that this was his last election. And as you well know, with the passing of this election, George Bush may still have the legal power of president now for the last 78 days before the inauguration, but the political power moves immediately and absolutely to go to President-elect Clinton. There isn't much left on the Bush agenda to do. President Bush is going to head to Camp David for the weekend with his family, take some time off. As you know, he bought a fishing reel and a hunting license and some country and western tapes yesterday right after he voted. I get the sense, Mike, that he is ready for a little retirement. As he said, he's going to go into private business, the grandchild business.
And let me ask you this. Where did they think they lost? It was a loss from the beginning because of the economy, or did something go horribly wrong in this campaign?
I think the seeds of the defeat, Mike, were indeed sown early on when the longest peacetime expansion in history came to an end. The recession wasn't one of the normal ones that bottomed out and came back up again. That was the premise on which the whole Bush campaign was built. Also, perhaps the Cold War ended about 2 years too early for George Bush. There was none of the foreign threat and the demand for foreign leadership that has often helped Republican presidents.
And thanks so much. Over Linda Patillo right now. Linda, we heard a cryptic reference to this not being the end for Mr. Perot. What does he have planned? Any idea?
Well, Mike, with 17 million voters behind you, you can be rest assured that if Perot chooses to raise his voice, it may be heard. He promised to perhaps be active in the 1994 congressional races and to be a sort of watchdog on the Clinton administration to make sure that they satisfy what the people want done in government.
All right, Linda Patillo in Dallas for us and Ann Compton in Houston. Now, thanks to both of you this morning. Voter turnout, a lot of speculation before yesterday. Turns out it set a record. More than 101 million people went to the polls. That's up 4% from 4 years ago. Most of the people evidently voted because they wanted change. ABC's Lynn Shear looked at the exit polls to see the challenges that the new president-elect will have to face.
As president-elect, Governor Clinton may have won an electoral mandate, but his task is very daunting. He faces an electorate that believes the economy is in rotten shape. He also faces an electorate that is very concerned with the way the government is working. Let's see what the voters had to say about that. We asked people their feelings on how the government is working. Well, those who are satisfied are only 19%. On the other hand, those who are unhappy, 50%. And finally, angry, downright angry, 25%. When you take these two together, that's nearly 80% of the electorate that is dissatisfied or angry with how the government is working. We also asked our voters how they felt about the economic downturn we're now going through. 40% said they thought it was a normal downturn and would end shortly, but 52% said they thought it was a long-term decline. This is what Governor Clinton is facing as president. Finally, we asked voters their feelings about Clinton as president. 42% said they were excited or optimistic, but look at this, 54% say they are concerned and scared. So, as I say, it may be true that the governor has an electoral mandate, but the task he's facing is very daunting, and it's a heck of a way to begin a new administration. I'm Lynn Sherrod, ABC News Election Headquarters in New York.
Now for Congress, we've heard a lot of talk about this being the year of the woman, or the year of cleaning the House or the Senate. This morning, there's no question that changes are indeed on the way. 5 of the 11 women who ran for the Senate won. One was Carol Moseley Braun in Illinois, the first black woman ever elected to the U.S. Senate.
I think we're going to bring a voice of working people, a voice for common sense, for policies that work, for consensus building, to get our economy rolling, to create jobs, to get back to the kinds of things that make our country work, and particularly our domestic agenda.
In the West, a triple victory for women. Barbara Boxer won one of the Senate races in California, and Dianne Feinstein beat incumbent John Seymour in the other. In Washington State, the winner was Patty Murray, the so-called mom in tennis shoes.
Look at this room. It's not just women. It's not just men. It's young people. It's old people. It is enthusiasm. It is us taking our government back, and we did it.
And Maryland voters re-elected incumbent Senator Barbara Mikulski. This means that next year there will be 6 women in the Senate instead of 3. That's a record. One woman who lost her Senate race was Lynn Yackel in Pennsylvania. Republican Arlen Specter was re-elected there. And another piece of history. Ben Nighthorse Campbell of Colorado is the first Native American to be elected to the Senate. There were 2 other upsets in the Senate. North Carolina Democrat Terry Sanford lost, as did the Wisconsin Republican, Robert Kasten. But in New York, incumbent Al D'Amato claimed a victory in a very close race.
It would appear that we have a victory. And I want to tell you, when I said that I was going to fight for the forgotten middle class and stand up and call them the way I see them, I'm not a diplomat. I'm your advocate. I'm your fighter, and I'm going to continue to fight.
And some changes coming to the House side as well. There will be more women in the House. There'll be more blacks. There'll be more Hispanics. And according to our latest tabulation, 8 more Republicans as well. That's it for now. Time to check in with Joan and Spencer.
All right, Mike, thank you very much. It is 10 minutes after, and it is time for weather. And Spencer Christian, what you got?
Well, we got lots of nasty post-election weather, but that's okay. There's some sunny spots on the map, too. Let me show you what's going on. We'll start, Joan, with a look by way of satellite. We've had some very active weather systems pushing through the Mississippi Valley, down along the Gulf Coast here. These bright white clouds represent rather powerful thunderstorm activity in the southeast during the...
As I asked, but it's certainly apropos this morning. How do you feel?
Well, I've had better days, Charlie, but look, Bill Clinton won. Again, I congratulate him. He ran an outstanding campaign, and as I said last night, if he runs the country as well as he ran the campaign, we'll be all right. But it's going to be, we have a lot of tough challenges, and I think that he may be calling on Republican help from time to time. He did not run as a traditional Democrat this time. He ran as a new type of Democrat, a more conservative Democrat, and some of his ideas are going to be more compatible with ideas of mine than some of the liberal Democrats in Congress. So it's going to be very interesting.
Well, it is going to be interesting, and you repeated the gracious words that you said last night, that if he runs the presidency in the country as well as he ran his campaign, as you said to your supporters, we'll be in good shape. What kind of estimation of a Clinton presidency do you see? There were tough words in the campaign, many of them from your mouth, and I wonder how you see a Clinton presidency shaping up.
Well, that's going to be the big question. Here's the way I look at it, Charlie. As I said, that he ran as a different Democrat. I tried to wrap the liberal tax and spend label around him. He rejected it. The American people obviously didn't feel that he was a tax and spend liberal Democrat. So now we'll get down to work on some of the substantive issues, like health care, for example. He has been somewhat emphatic that it should be from primarily the private sector. I agree with that, and so do most Republicans. I think a lot of the Democrats in Congress would disagree with that. Education, he's for choice only in the public sector. Maybe we can push him a little bit farther, but education is going to be a tremendous issue. On jobs, obviously we want to, a little bit better capital gains proposal than what he's talking about. He also said he wasn't going to tax the middle class. We will certainly make sure that that is adhered to. We have no interest in taxing the middle class or raising taxes at all. So I think it's going to be a really interesting debate, I think, will be between Bill Clinton and some of the in the liberal Democratic Congress, and he may need some Republican help from time to time.
Mr. Vice President, was the Bush-Quayle campaign too late in getting to the economy? Did the campaign not address the economy well enough? Did it misestimate what the voters were interested in?
Well, you used the two words, I think, that cost the president this election: the economy, the campaign. Bill Clinton ran a much better campaign, much better presidential campaign. And the economy was not good. But the president goes out very proud of his accomplishments, won the Cold War, won the Persian Gulf War. History will be very kind to George Bush and his administration. And he is just really one of the most honest, decent men that I've ever met. He's a tremendous individual, and I love him dearly.
I'm fascinated by what you said. You think you ran a bad campaign? It was a bad presidential campaign?
Well, Bill Clinton certainly ran a much better campaign, and if I had to sum it up this morning, I'd say the economy and the campaign. Bill Clinton ran a very good campaign, almost error-free from the convention forward. I can't think of any real mistakes that they made.
Is there something you all should have done differently?
Oh, of course, but I have no use of getting into that this morning. There'll be a lot of others out there speculating on what went wrong, why it went wrong, how we could have done a better job. This morning, I just want to congratulate Bill Clinton, congratulate his running mate, and just to tell you and the American people what a wonderful person and a good president, a great president that George Bush was for us all.
When in your gut did you know that this was not going to go your way?
You could feel this thing slipping away in the last days of the campaign. I think what really was put the final nail in the coffin, so to speak, was the indictment or the re-indictment of Caspar Weinberger, which I just think is a travesty of justice. Cap Weinberger's an honest person. I'm sure he'll be totally vindicated. But to have this come at the Friday before the election, and the Democrat lawyer from San Francisco, I hope you and the media and others look into that very carefully.
I hope you and I have opportunity in coming months to talk about what you're going to do 4 years from now, because obviously those are questions for coming days. But I'm interested in what you're going to do in the intermediate 4 years. What are you going to do now, you, Dan Quayle?
Well, I haven't really decided. One of the priorities I have, I've got 2 children, as you know, Charlie, still at home, very sensitive ages. One's a junior and one's a freshman in high school, and I've got to consider their interests. Obviously, I think Marilyn and I would just soon return to Indiana as soon as possible. You go to Washington to serve the people. I will not be serving the people after
January 20th.
Inauguration, right. January 20th. And so that would be sort of my inclination, but I don't really know. As I said, we've got 2 children at very sensitive ages, so I'm going to have to sort of pick up the pieces, as they say, move on. You know, look at, there's life after public service. I've enjoyed public service, and who knows?
We'll talk to you soon again, Mr. Vice President. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. 17 after, the inside word on election night in the Clinton camp when we come back.
In his speech last night, President-elect Bill Clinton did what all winners do on election night. He stressed unity.
We will ask the Democrats who believe in our cause to come forward, but we will look too among the ranks of independents and Republicans who are willing to roll up their sleeves, be a part of a new partnership, and get on with the business of dealing with this nation's problems.
Paul Begala is a senior advisor to the Clinton campaign, and he joins us this morning from Little Rock. Good morning. First of all, how is the president-elect? How's his voice?
His voice is surprisingly strong for what he's gone through. I guess it's the energy that he got from the campaign trail. I hope he gets a little chance to rest it in the next few days.
Can you tell us anything about the conversation that he had last night with President Bush?
Not really, because he's keeping that private, except to say what he said last night, which was it was a very gracious call, it was a generous call, and we really salute the president's graciousness last night.
He also has said that he wants a fast start. Can you give us any idea as to what kind of specific legislative actions we might see in the first 100 days of a Clinton administration?
Well, clearly his agenda for action has been embraced now by millions of people across the country, and it's a clear mandate, if you will, from the voters to say, go out and work on jobs, work on health care, work on education, work on the things that matter to middle-class families in their lives.
Is there a schedule for the transition team, and who might be leading that effort?
Well, that's for the president-elect to decide who will lead it. The schedule, I think, will be reflected much the way that the candidate's campaign schedule was reflected. It'll be swift, and it'll be marked by a clarity of vision. I think the reason we're here today is that Bill Clinton knew from the beginning what he wanted to do and how he wanted to accomplish it.
Well, last night the president-elect appealed to the Republicans, to the independents to help him. Are there any non-Democrats on that short list? And might Ross Perot be offered a position?
Well, the list itself only exists sort of in the minds of people in the media, but I will tell you that the president-elect was very serious. It was a very important point he wanted to make last night. He wants to reach out to Republicans, to independents, to people who've been left out and left behind by traditional politics. He wants to bring people in. Now, whether particular names, I have no idea, because he makes those decisions. But I'll tell you this. Look at how he picked his vice president. He defied the conventional wisdom. He picked a fellow Southerner. He picked a fellow moderate. He picked a different kind of Democrat. He picked Al Gore. It's the best decision he's ever made. Again, it's one of the reasons we won the election.
He has his work cut out, but might he take a day off or so?
I think he will. I think he needs a little rest. I know he and Hillary want to spend some time with Chelsea.
Well, I'd say that's well-deserved. Paul Begala, thank you very much.
Thank you, Joan.
And we'll be back.
The nation, with the new president and what he said last night, a new beginning, and I think most importantly, an aggressive attitude toward dealing with the problems of the economy, I think there will be a significant difference.
Senate Majority Leader George Mitchell, thanks so much for joining us this morning, and congratulations.
Thank you, Paula.
Harry?
Paula, thanks. 24 minutes before the hour. Next on CBS this morning, a victor in a tough Senate fight in Pennsylvania.
Good morning. Day's waiting, but it's all starting too early for you. Folgers wakes up the best in you.
The remarkable aroma of mountain-grown beans. It's how Folgers wakes up the best that's in you.
opening eyes, opening doors, taking the morning and making it yours. Folgers wakes up the best in you.
Today, you have the most personalized choices ever to feel your most beautiful. From Salon Selectives comes 2 styling lines, the moisturizing and the bodifying.
Choose to be your most beautiful, Salon Beautiful.
Choose moisturizing styling products to replenish, bodifying products to add volume. With greater personalization, you'll feel like you just stepped out of a salon.
Choose to be your most beautiful.
This man's incredibly close, comfortable shave comes from the Norelco razor. But to see how he got it, we must go back to when he began shaving. Not just above the skin, but below it. Here, our lift and cut system lifts the hair so when it's cut, it can drop below skin level without the blades touching your face. Try it, and you'll keep going back to Norelco for a perfect shave. Norelco, we make close comfortable.
It's amazing how it grew and grew. That little company you started in your garage. And now you've got an automobile whose drive for quality matches your own. The Buick Park Avenue Ultra. With its supercharged engine, the Park Avenue Ultra is proof you still take pride in what comes out of your garage.
This portion of CBS This Morning is sponsored by cool, refreshing Wrigley's Spearmint Gum. It's pure chewing satisfaction.
22 minutes before the hour, we have heard so much about the Year of the Woman, but how did they do? Well, of the 11 women on the ballot for the U.S. Senate, 5 came up winners. In Pennsylvania, incumbent Republican Arlen Specter managed to hold off a strong challenge from Lynn Yackel, and he joins us from Philadelphia with his wife, Joan. Good morning and congratulations.
Good morning, Harry. Thank you.
Senator, you ran what a lot of people described as a perfect campaign, yet the results were still ever so close. From that close result, is there a message you take back to the Senate with you today?
Well, we were running in the face of perhaps 1.5 million split tickets. It was a tough race, and I think the message is that we have to deliver for the American people. I just heard Senator Mitchell, and when he had made a comment that the President Bush, didn't think we needed legislation, that's really not so. The President sent an economic package over with income tax investment tax allowance and investment tax credit for home buyers and passive losses. And now we want to work with President-elect Clinton. And I think that it's up to all of us to produce. I think that's the message. We have a big job to do for the American people.
This is going to be a different Senate. Several new women in the Senate got there in part because of the Clarence Thomas hearings. What atmosphere will they find when they get to Washington?
Well, I think the hearings were very important for America. Certainly they were a learning experience for me and perhaps for the country as well. And I congratulated Lynn Yackel last night, saying that she had a courageous fight and a lot of supporters. And I believe that the presence of the women will be good for America. My own wife, Joan Specter, is on City Council. I've long believed that we needed more women in government. From my days as district attorney, the current DA of Philadelphia was an assistant of mine. And I think that the country is better off for the learning experience from the Thomas hearings and from more participation by women.
Mrs. Specter, what do you think in the final analysis it came down to? Why did your husband win yesterday in Pennsylvania?
I think he won because of the close attention he's paid to the state for the last 12 years, all the trips he's made to all the counties and all the small towns. I think when it really came down to it, people in Pennsylvania really knew Arlen Specter, and they knew how hard he'd worked for them.
Senator, the White House, Congress have been at odds for the last several years. You talked about what George Mitchell had mentioned a few minutes ago. Are you optimistic or are you skeptical, or what word would you describe about how you go back to Washington this time?
Well, I'm optimistic. I think there was a lot of bickering, and I think the blame was equally divided. There were some of us who tried to bring health care to the floor last year. I was on the floor fighting with George Mitchell last July, trying to...
If you think the presidential election dialogue got nasty, wait till you hear what the royal family has to say. Entertainment Tonight is next.
When you pick up a carpet, make sure it's wear dated. If we're not standing behind it, you shouldn't be standing on it.
See a full line of wear-dated carpet at Crown Carpet Super Warehouse Sale going on now.
Ross presents Sweaters. The top name brands. Not at department store prices. Not even at department store sale prices. But at Ross prices. Yes, Ross is showcasing brand name and designer sweaters at a lot less than department store sale prices.
A lot less.
If you're not shopping at Ross, you're paying too much.
What entertains your taste buds better than a heat and eat Johnsonville brat? An encore presentation. Johnsonville brats.
Get your sports from Ed Whalen, weeknights on Newsroom 6.